On Christmas Eve, my mother suffered a sudden myocardial infarction and was rushed to the ICU. I called my wife immediately, but her first love answered, his tone provocative. "She's making Christmas dinner for me. Is there something you need?" I was silent for a moment, then chuckled, "Nothing, Merry Christmas." Half an hour later, my wife called. "Honey, David Brown is too lonely at home by himself, so I'm having Christmas dinner with him. I'll be back soon." I said, "Okay." But she didn't need to come back. She could stay with him forever. The light in the operating room remained on. Clutching my cell phone, I leaned weakly against the wall. Friends and relatives arrived in waves. "Jack Thompson, how's your mom?" "Jack Thompson, what did the doctor say?" "Jack Thompson, why isn't Emily Miller with you?" I lowered my head, unsure of what to say. After my mother was sent to the medical center, the doctor immediately issued a critical condition notice. I watched helplessly as doctor after doctor entered the operating room, but none of them came out. As for Emily Miller, was I supposed to tell everyone she had just posted on her social media feed, having Christmas dinner and celebrating New Year's with David Brown? I could only bury my head in the sand and lick my wounds alone. Ashley's parents arrived. Not seeing Emily Miller, Mr. Miller looked displeased and immediately pulled out his cell phone to call her. "Where have you run off to? Get back here right now?" Before Mr. Miller could finish, Emily Miller's dissatisfied voice rang out. "Dad, did Jack Thompson complain about me again? Seriously, I already explained it to him, but he's still so narrow-minded." Mrs. Green, Ashley's mother, started to speak. "Emily Miller, you?" "Mom, don't say anything. I can handle my affairs with him. You and Dad don't need to worry about it. I have things to do. I'll hang up now." Mrs. Green, Ashley's mother, looked at me awkwardly. Mr. Miller was furious and was about to call AG. "Fine." I smiled. "Mr. Miller, since she's busy, don't bother her." After saying that, I felt like all the strength had been drained from my body, and I slid down the wall. The surrounding friends and relatives had a lot of opinions about Emily Miller. She was my wife, my mother's daughter-in-law, and when my mother was being rescued, no matter what she had to do, she should have been there. But she wasn't. The light in the operating room went out, and the door opened. I immediately looked over expectantly, but all I saw were the somber faces of the doctors. Trembling, in disbelief, I walked step by step towards the operating room. It wasn't until I saw Mom's deceased that my tears finally burst forth like a dam breaking. At that moment, I could no longer deceive myself. No one in this world would be selfless towards me anymore. I declined Mr. and Mrs. Green's and the friends and relatives offered to stay with me at the medical center and asked them to go home. I stayed with my mother alone at the medical center overnight. Early the next morning, I called the funeral home to prepare my mother's deceased appearance and arrange the funeral. Watching my mother's deceased being taken away, I took out my cell phone and sent Emily Miller a message. "Mom is gone. How I wished she would call me immediately, rush to my side, and comfort me." But the message was like a stone sinking into the sea. I chuckled self-deprecatingly. I had loved Emily Miller for 10 years, from love at first sight to 5 years of silent companionship, 3 years of mad pursuit, and 2 years of marriage. I had grown accustomed to having her by my side. But from now on, I had to reaccustom myself to life without her. When we first met, she was wearing a white dress, her hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Her face, free of any makeup, had such a clean, pure smile. I was ecstatic the day she agreed to marry me. As I placed the ring on her finger, I whispered, "For the rest of my life, it will be you." Her smile then was so sweet, deeply imprinted in my heart. Before marriage, I held her in the palm of my hand, and after marriage, I remained consistent. She never flaunted our love in front of others, always saying, "Our life is for the two of us. Other people's envy and jealousy have nothing to do with us." But I knew she was lying. When she was with David Brown, the school hall, school field, and school avenue were all places where they flaunted their love. Although I was jealous, I never forced her, firmly believing that David Brown was in the past, that she was now my wife, and that I was the one who would accompany her for life. But that conviction was crumbling as she repeatedly abandoned me, choosing to be with David Brown. I was also feeling increasingly exhausted. Loving her was tiring. David Brown called. "Emily Miller got drunk last night, and I wasn't comfortable letting her go home, so she rested at my place. But don't worry, nothing happened between us." Hearing his smug, provocative tone, I softly said, "Oh," and then asked, "Anything else?" David Brown didn't expect me to react this way, and after a moment, he said, "Jack Thompson, you're very self-aware, knowing that making a scene is useless." "Thank you for the compliment," I replied politely, then hung up and walked into the law firm on the street. I saw Emily Miller again on the day after Christmas, visiting Ashley's parents. I was sorting through my mother's belongings when she pushed open the door and came in. "Today is the day after Christmas, visiting Ashley's parents. I'm going to change my clothes. Wait for me, and we'll go back together." I didn't refuse, because Ashley's parents were very good to me. Soon, Emily Miller came out, changed. I was very surprised. It used to take her at least half an hour to change clothes. It wasn't until I saw David Brown waiting in the car that I understood. She was afraid of making David Brown wait. David Brown smiled at me. "Jack Thompson, get in car. Today, I'll be your and Emily Miller's driver and accompany you back to Ashley's parents." I turned to Emily Miller and asked, "Do you want him to come along?" Emily Miller quickly explained, "Don't overthink it. David Brown is just too lonely at home by himself, so I asked him to come along. Anyway, it's just a meal. We'll come back after we eat." I smiled, opened the car door, and sat in the back seat. That's right, it was just a meal, and it was the last one. "Emily Miller, you get carsick. Sit in the passenger seat." David Brown eagerly opened the passenger car door. Emily Miller looked at me awkwardly, but after only hesitating for a second, she sat in the passenger seat. I used to worry about her getting carsick and asked her to sit in the passenger seat. But she refused, preferring to sit alone in the back seat. But it didn't matter anymore. I looked at the scenery flashing past the window, thinking about the call I had received from the funeral home not long ago. My mother's deceased's appearance had been prepared, and tomorrow was my mother's funeral. The funeral home asked if I had anything else to add to the funeral arrangement, recommending that I discuss it with my wife, saying that sons and daughters-in-law have a very important role in the funeral. But looking at Emily Miller chatting and laughing with David Brown in the front, I didn't want to ask at all, so I took out my cell phone and sent a message to the funeral home. "Remove the daughter-in-law's process from the funeral, and keep everything else the same." "Jack Thompson, who are you texting?" Emily Miller suddenly asked. Without even raising my head, I replied, "A friend." Emily Miller didn't ask any more questions, but after that, she kept looking at me through the rearview mirror, looking like she wanted to say something but hesitated. But I didn't look at her at all, keeping my head turned to look out the window. In the past, I would talk to her nonstop, but she would always ignore me, looking impatient. Now, I didn't want to pay attention to her anymore. Mr. Miller was very happy to see me, but his face immediately turned cold when he saw David Brown getting out of the car. David Brown took out 2 bottles of flowers from the trunk. Emily Miller smiled and said, "Dad, David Brown bought these especially for you." "Humph, I can't afford to accept them." Mr. Miller snatched the 2 bottles of flowers and threw them on the ground. David Brown's face immediately turned ugly. Dad, what are you doing? Emily Miller yelled in dissatisfaction, turning to comfort David Brown. What am I doing? I'm going to sever ties with you. I don't have a heartless daughter like you anymore. Now get out! Mr. Miller roared, his face ashen, then grabbed my hand. Jack Thompson, let's go inside, you and me. I smiled. Mr. Miller, don't say such angry words. Stop pretending to be a good person. Isn't it all because of you? Emily Miller snapped at me. It's all because you complain to Dad about every little thing. Jack Thompson, when are you going to grow up? You tell your parents about everything. Are you still a child? The smile on my face disappeared, and I nodded. You're right, I won't anymore. Mr. Miller was very angry, pointing at Emily Miller and shouting, "Why are you taking your anger out on Jack Thompson? He didn't say anything to me. I'm the one who doesn't recognize you as my daughter. Apologize to Jack Thompson right now." Emily Miller's face was cold. Mr. Miller was so angry that he was about to hit her, but I quickly pulled Mr. Miller into the house. Emily Miller pulled David Brown along behind her. Jack Thompson, I know you're angry that I didn't come back on Christmas Eve. I can explain. Emily Miller said stiffly, her tone hard. That night, I drank too much, and David Brown didn't want me to go home alone, so he took care of me overnight. Nothing is going on between him and me. Don't be so dirty-minded. Got it, I replied in a FL at tone. Whether or not anything happened between Emily Miller and David Brown that night was no longer important to me. Don't you have anything you want to ask? Emily Miller pressed on relentlessly. No. I turned to go to the kitchen to help Mrs. Green, Ashley's mother, cook. Emily Miller never cooked, saying that she hated the smell of cooking oil. After I married her, cooking was always my job. Jack Thompson, don't go busy yourself. Let's talk, you and me. Mr. Miller stopped me, lit a cigarette, and offered me one. I didn't smoke it, just held it in my hand. Mr. Miller sighed. I'm very sorry about your mom. Emily Miller was too wrong. As her father, I also have an inescapable responsibility. If you want to divorce her, her mom and I will support you. I also don't have the face to ask you to forgive her. I only hope that after you divorce her, you can still treat this place as home and come visit often. I looked down at the cigarette in my hand, not saying a word. Emily Miller's expression changed slightly. Dad, what are you talking about? Why would Jack Thompson divorce me? What did I do wrong? And what happened to Mom? Mr. Miller's face was full of anger, and his hand holding the cigarette was shaking. You still have the nerve to ask? Your mother-in-law always treated you like her own daughter, but what about you? She had a sudden cerebral infarction on Christmas Eve. Where were you when she was being rescued at the medical center? Where were you when she passed away? You have no filial piety at all. If it weren't for Jack Thompson speaking up today, you wouldn't even think about entering this door. With a crash, Emily Miller stood up in shock, and the chair fell to the ground. Dad, what are you talking about? She turned to question me. Jack Thompson, tell me, is what Dad is saying true? Is he lying to me? I looked at her calmly. It's true. Mom passed away on Christmas Eve night. Impossible, Emily Miller exclaimed. Jack Thompson. Why didn't you tell me about something so important? Mom was being rescued at the medical center. Why didn't you call me? Enough, Mr. Miller roared. How could Jack Thompson not call you? I called you too, but what about you? Mr. Miller pointed at David Brown. You were with an outsider, and you hung up the phone before even listening to me. Now you're blaming Jack Thompson. How could I have a daughter like you? No, that's not it, Emily Miller said anxiously, tears streaming down her face. Dad, I didn't know. I thought Jack Thompson had complained about me to you, forcing me to come back. Jack Thompson, you know Mom treats me like her own daughter. How could I not have any filial piety towards her? I didn't know. If I had known, no matter what I was doing, I would have rushed to the medical center immediately. David Brown spoke up. Jack Thompson, don't blame Emily Miller. It's my fault. I was the one who wanted her to be with me. If you want to blame someone, blame me. I apologize to you. After saying that, David Brown stood up and bowed deeply to me. I sat on the sofa without getting up, saying calmly, I don't blame you, and I don't blame Emily Miller. It's just Mom's bad luck, and it's also my bad luck. Mr. Miller, it looks like we won't be able to have this meal today. I'll leave first. I turned to Mr. Miller and said, getting up to walk towards the door. Don't go! Emily Miller grabbed me, tears blurring her delicate makeup. Where is Mom's deceased? I'm sorry for her. I want to kneel before her and beg for her forgiveness. I gently pulled her hand away. There's no need. Mom might not want to see you. When Emily Miller and I got married, Mom was happy, telling me more than once to be good to Emily Miller. She said that it wasn't easy for two people to get to the point of marriage and that if there were conflicts, they could argue, but they must never say harsh words, especially not to mention divorce. I kept it in mind, and after marriage, I never argued with Emily Miller, keeping all my grievances to myself. But what happened on Christmas Eve made me realize that love is not about compromise. No matter how much I do, no matter how much I back down, if two people's hearts aren't together, they'll never be able to reach the end. In Emily Miller's heart, David Brown will always be in first place. Her love never belonged to me. Jack Thompson. Emily Miller chased after me. I was wrong that Christmas Eve night. I'm not asking you to forgive me, I'm only asking you to give me a chance to fulfill my filial duties before Mom's spirit. Her eyes were swollen and red, her face full of pleading. This was the first time she had asked me, and it was also the first time I had seen her vulnerable side. If it had been before, I would have immediately held her in my arms. But now, there wasn't a single ripple in my heart. I smiled. There's no need. Mom has already passed away. You should cherish the living. I looked at David Brown, who had followed us out. Like him. Jack Thompson, you've misunderstood. Emily Miller and I are completely innocent. Nothing happened that Christmas Eve. I know your mother passed away, and you're very sad, but Emily Miller is also sad. You love her, and she loves you. Why do you two have to hurt each other? David Brown earnestly advised me. Like you said, the deceased is gone, and the living should cherish what's in front of them. He grabbed Emily Miller's hand, then grabbed my hand, putting Emily Miller's hand in mine. Okay, I declare that you're reconciled. Emily Miller looked at me expectantly. But my attention was all on the fact that when David Brown pulled her hand just now, she didn't struggle at all. I let go of Emily Miller's hand, smiled, and asked David Brown, in what capacity are you announcing that we're reconciled? Ex-boyfriend? Homewrecker? Or winner? David Brown's face darkened. Jack Thompson, what you're saying is a bit much. Even if why? Oh, you don't believe me. You should believe Emily Miller. I had just been too trusting of Emily Miller. If I had made a scene with her when I first discovered that she and David Brown were still entangled, perhaps what happened on Christmas Eve wouldn't have happened. Jack Thompson, Emily Miller did do wrong that night, but are you completely without fault? I didn't expect David Brown to accuse me, and I was stunned for a moment. When I answered the phone that night, why didn't you say that your mother was being rescued at the medical center? And when Emily Miller called you back afterwards, you still didn't say anything? Emily Miller isn't a god. How would she know that your mother was being rescued at the medical center? So it was still my fault. I slowly nodded, asking Emily Miller, is that what you think too? Emily Miller quickly said, no, it's my fault. It's my fault for not answering your phone and not asking you what happened. Jack Thompson, I'm only asking you to give me a chance to fulfill my filial duties to Mom. There's no need. I've already had a lawyer prepare the divorce papers. After Mom's funeral, we'll get a divorce. I turned to leave. David Brown grabbed me. Jack Thompson, you're too heartless. Why are you blaming Emily Miller for everything? She's also in a lot of pain right now. Let go. I forcefully shook off David Brown's hand, and he fell to the ground, letting out a cry of pain. Emily Miller quickly helped him up, looking at him with concern. Are you okay? Looking at this scene, I chuckled self-deprecatingly. What was I still expecting? It was time to end it. I walked into the law firm. Mr. Field, your divorce papers are ready. I flipped through them page by page. The lawyer was very professional, and the divorce papers were very detailed. Mr. Field, do you see anything else that needs to be added? I shook my head. No, nothing. Taking the divorce papers, I returned home. My marriage with Emily Miller had finally come to an end. Honey, you're back. Emily Miller was waiting for me at home. I said, it's good that you're back. Here are the divorce papers. If there's no problem, sign them. Emily Miller didn't take them, looking at me with red eyes. Honey, I don't want to divorce you. I love you. I smiled. This was the first time Emily Miller had said she loved me. But I didn't feel happy, only sorrow. Because this love had been bought with Mom's life. Sign them. I put the divorce papers on the table, then walked into the bedroom. Honey. Emily Miller followed me in, hugging me from behind. I'm sorry for what I did to you in the past, for betraying your love. Now I understand that the one I love is you, not David Brown. So? I asked softly. Emily Miller hugged me tightly, pressing her face against my back. So give me a chance to prove myself. I'll spend my whole life compensating you. But what I wanted wasn't compensation. I forcefully pried Emily Miller's hands off me. It's too late. We can't go back to the past. We can. Emily Miller was very excited. Honey, I know you still love me, and I love you too. We'll live a good life together from now on, never separating again, and no one will ever disturb us again. As soon as she finished speaking, her cell phone suddenly rang. I glanced at it. It was David Brown calling. Emily Miller looked at me awkwardly. Answer it, I said nonchalantly, walking a little further away, leaving her enough space. Emily Miller took a deep breath, answered the phone, and said coldly, don't call me again in the future. Emily Miller, I'm calling to tell you that I'm preparing to go abroad. Go abroad? Emily Miller raised her voice involuntarily, saying anxiously, why are you suddenly going abroad? If I stay, I'll only affect your relationship with Jack Thompson. Only if I leave can you and he be as good as before. Emily Miller, goodbye. I wish you happiness. Emily Miller put down her cell phone, looking lost. I asked. He's going abroad. Aren't you going to be with him one last time? Emily Miller looked up at me, forcing a smile. No need. He's not a child. He can take care of himself. I didn't say anything more, taking out a change of clothes and walking into the bedroom. I was a little happy in my heart. But when I woke up in the middle of the night, thirsty, Emily Miller was nowhere to be seen. She had gone after all. I slumped onto the sofa. The room, without the lights on, was plunged into darkness, just like my heart, which had completely fallen into the abyss. Emily Miller and I had been happy together once, too. When she broke up with David Brown, I was the one who stayed by her side. I accompanied her as she cried, as she went on drinking binges, and as she traveled to relax. Jack Thompson, why are you so good to me? That night, she leaned on my shoulder, drunk. Because I love you, and you're worth being good to. I revealed my feelings to her for the first time. She smiled. Jack Thompson, you finally said it. I thought you would keep it bottled up inside forever. But why didn't you say it sooner? 5 years, I waited for you for 5 years. I grabbed her shoulders with both hands, making her look directly at me. It's not too late now. I'll always love you. You said it. She murmured, leaning in my arms. Jack Thompson, David Brown doesn't want me anymore. I'm yours from now on. I'll try to fall in love with you. But in the end, she never fell in love with me, never forgot David Brown. I sat on the sofa all night until I received a call from the funeral home. Mr. Field, the funeral arrangement is ready. I know. I splashed some cold water on my face in the bathroom, and the me in the mirror had bloodshot eyes. Emily Miller still hadn't called, not even a message. I didn't wait any longer, changed clothes, and rushed to the graveyard. I saw Emily Miller seeing David Brown off to go abroad. The two were hugging. I ignored them, passing by them and walking towards the departure gate. Honey! I heard hurried footsteps behind me, and Emily Miller ran in front of me. Where are you going? I replied calmly, to the out-of-state branch. I don't want you to go. She grabbed my luggage, pleading bitterly. Honey, don't go, okay? I don't want us to live in different places. I smiled. It's not living in different places, it's getting a divorce. I left the divorce papers on the bed in the bedroom. After you sign them, tell me, and I'll make time to come back and do the divorce papers with you. I don't want to divorce you, and I won't sign them. Emily Miller shouted. Then I'll just have to see you in court. Once the period of separation is up, I'll file for divorce. I forcefully pulled my luggage away. I have to board the plane. Emily Miller, goodbye. Honey, don't go. Emily Miller chased after me but was stopped by the airport staff at the boarding gate. I boarded the plane without looking back. The out-of-state branch was an unfamiliar environment, and everything had to start anew. I rented an apartment near the office and devoted myself to work every day, trying not to think too much. Emily Miller's social media account profile picture was constantly popping up. Honey, where did you go? Honey, when are you coming back? I miss you. Honey, come back. I can't live without you. I rarely replied, and when I did, it was to ask her, have you signed the divorce papers? She always beat around the bush. I stopped pressing her, knowing that once the separation period was over, I would file for divorce in court. Because of my hard work and the fact that I was sent from the head office, I was quickly appointed as a project manager by the manager of the branch company to take charge of a new project. This made me even busier, and I would fall asleep as soon as I got home every day. Gradually, I forgot about Emily Miller and got used to life without her. I once thought I couldn't live without her, but now I realize I was stronger than I thought. 2 months later, the new project I was in charge of was a great success. At the celebratory banquet, I saw Emily Miller again. She had lost weight. Her expression was much more haggard than before. Honey, I miss you so much. She rushed into my arms. The surrounding colleagues all looked at us with surprised expressions. I pushed her away and said, Did you come to bring me the divorce papers? You could have just sent a message. No, I interrupted her. if you're not here to deliver the divorce papers, then there's nothing else to say. The light in Emily Miller's eyes dimmed. Honey, do we have to get a divorce? Did you think I was joking before? I looked at her in surprise, unable to understand why she still thought I wasn't serious about the divorce at this point. I thought we could go back to the way we were. Emily Miller gave a bitter smile, then took a deep breath. Okay, I agree to the divorce. I nodded. After the celebratory banquet, I'll go back with you to complete the divorce papers. Emily Miller opened her mouth, hesitating to speak. I didn't give her a chance to say what she wanted to say and turned to walk towards my colleagues. The celebratory banquet was lively, and I was the center of attention. Emily Miller didn't leave and kept looking at me. After it ended, I received a congratulatory text message from her. Congratulations, you've always been so great. I replied politely. Thank you. I took a day off from the manager that day and went back with her to complete the divorce papers. At the entrance of City Hall, I ran into David Brown. He held flowers and knelt on one knee in front of Emily Miller. Ashley, marry me. Emily Miller, Jack Thompson, I didn't know he was coming, let alone that he would propose to me. I smiled. Isn't that great? You can get a marriage license with him immediately after divorcing me. No, I didn't think that way. Emily Miller shook her head desperately, tears streaming down her face. Honey, I plan to pursue you again after the divorce. I never considered marrying him. Please believe me. My expression was indifferent. Whether Emily Miller would marry David Brown or not was no longer my concern. As for her saying she would pursue me and start over, I wouldn't even consider it. Emily Miller looked at David Brown and said in a cold tone, I used to like you, but now I love Jack Thompson. I won't accept your proposal. Leave. David Brown's face changed. He forced a smile and said, Ashley, give me a chance. I didn't know how to cherish you before and let you down. From now on, I will treat you twice as well and love only you. Emily Miller shook her head, her tone even colder. David Brown, I've forgotten about the past. Please don't bother me anymore in the future. The person I love now is Jack Thompson, not you. I don't believe it. David Brown shouted and yelled, his face twisted. Ashley, you still love me. Is it because of him? He pointed at me with a look of hatred. Jack Thompson, you're clearly about to divorce Ashley. Why are you still clinging to her? It's all because of you. Without you, Ashley would accept my proposal. I frowned. You've blamed the wrong person. I've never pestered Emily Miller. As for why she didn't accept your proposal, you should ask her. David Brown immediately looked at Emily Miller, his face full of pleading. Ashley, I love you. Marry me? Before Emily Miller could speak, a cold snort suddenly rang out. You don't love her. You're after her money, after my family's property. Mr. Miller walked over with a cold face. David Brown's face changed drastically, and he stubbornly said, Mr. Miller, I don't understand what you're saying. I love Ashley. Don't understand? Then I'll make you understand. Mr. Miller slammed the documents he was holding on David Brown's face. I glanced at a few pages, and they were all debt bills with huge amounts. Emily Miller couldn't believe it. Dad, is this all tea? Rue, the facts are right in front of you. Can they be fake? Mr. Miller scolded. He doesn't do anything serious abroad, hangs out with a bunch of people, and owes a lot of money. That's why he ran back to the country. The people demanding repayment have been forcing him to pay back the money. He set his sights on you. Saying he loves you is a lie. Using your money, using our family's property, to help him pay off his debts is the truth. David Brown's face was pale, and he stammered, No, that's not true. Ashley, you have to believe me. Mr. Miller is lying to you. He wants to break us up. Enough! Emily Miller roared. David Brown, I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. I was blind before to have fallen in love with you. Get out! I don't want to see you again in the future. At this moment, several burly men in suits appeared, looking at David Brown with sinister smiles. So you ran here. Young Master Sutton, come with us. It's time to pay back the money. You, what are you going to do? David Brown struggled desperately. No, save me, Ashley, save me. Emily Miller was trembling with anger, her face very ugly. I watched coldly until David Brown was stuffed into a car and taken away before saying to Emily Miller, "It's time to complete the divorce papers." Emily Miller looked at me, her lips trembling, unable to speak. Mr. Miller sighed deeply. After coming out from City Hall, Emily Miller stared blankly at the marriage certificate in her hand for a long time, then looked up at me. Jack Thompson, I interrupted her. The company/office has something to do. I'll leave first. After saying that, I nodded to Mr. Miller and turned to leave. I didn't go to the airport right away, but went to my mother's graveyard. Mom, I'm divorced. I loved Emily Miller for 10 years, and finally realized she's not suitable for me. Maybe she sincerely repented, but I'm afraid that without David Brown, there will be Tom Hansen, David Miller. So, Mom, can you understand me? A gentle breeze blew, softly caressing my face. I smiled. Mom, thank you. I returned to the company/office not long after and received a call from Emily Miller. Jack Thompson, Dad is preparing to send me abroad. Well, I wish you all the best abroad. I'll miss you. I smiled. Time is the most wonderful thing. It can make two people forget each other. 2 years later, I became the manager of the company/office. On the night of the celebration, I was given a lot of alcohol by my colleagues, and I returned home feeling dizzy. The apartment door next door suddenly opened. When I saw the person walking out, I instantly sobered up. It was Emily Miller. She hadn't changed much from 2 years ago, wearing a conservative set of pajamas. Hello! She smiled and held out her hand to me. I'm the new neighbor. My name is Emily Miller. I was silent for a while, then reached out and shook her hand. Hello, my name is Jack Thompson. She smiled brightly. We'll be neighbors from now on. Please take care of me. Okay. I nodded, pushed open the door, and walked into my apartment. The moment I closed the door, I leaned against it. After a long time, I let out a long sigh. I was wrong. Time hadn't made her forget me. But she and I could never go back to the past. Planes. Jack, my son. Cries echoed behind me, but I didn't look back. Even now, they haven't realized that some things cannot be measured by money. 10 years later, the research project I participated in achieved significant results. And in these 10 years, I also took the adult university entrance examination and passed the postgraduate and doctoral exams, making up for the regrets of the past. I returned to my hometown to participate in a conference. I unexpectedly saw two familiar figures. Tom and Amy are now in their 50s, with gray hair. They were stunned when they saw me. My son, we were really wrong. I looked down at their calloused hands, with no joy of reunion, just some confusion. They spoke with heartache about their experiences. It turned out that after I left, they found Alex Smith again. But Alex Smith used their desire to have descendants to deceive them time and time again, transferring their property. By the time they belatedly realized it, they were already heavily in debt. And Alex Smith had already fled the country with the money. Penniless, they had to find work again to make a living, but which company would want them at their age? Helpless, They took on the dirty and tiring work they once looked down on. I pulled away their hands, my tone calm. We have no relationship anymore, but I will pay for your retirement, just as repayment for the gift of life. Please call me by my name from now on. This time, they were too ashamed to beg me to stay, only repeating, "I'm sorry." After the conference, people were chatting and talking about Tom and Amy being cheated on. I heard that their adopted son flaunted his wealth abroad after running away with the money and was eventually cheated and imprisoned. TSK. Alex Smith thought he could still call the shots inside, but he was tortured even worse. Now, he's neither male nor female. They're just keeping him alive, making him wish he were dead. I picked up my teacup and left. What did other people's affairs have to do with me? After all, I have a bright future ahead of me.